Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our guests, startups, partners, and everyone who has taken time to join us today. Wherever in the world you may be watching this event from, my name is Jasleen, representing the team at 500 Global, and I'm excited to be your host for today. Welcome to this exciting event, Shaping the Future of Sustainability, organized in conjunction with the Greater Tokyo Innovation Ecosystem, Jatai. So before we move to our panels, a quick introduction of 500 Global. At 500 Global, our mission is to uplift people and economies around the world through entrepreneurship. We are a venture capital firm based in Silicon Valley with $2.7 billion in asset under management. We have backed startups across multiple stages, from the first check to pre IPO, and have invested in more than 2,700 companies in 81 countries, which of course includes Japan. Since we made our first investment in Japan in 2010, we have invested in over 55 portfolio companies in the country. In addition, we've also run several accelerator programs in Japan to support passionate founders who are trying to solve global challenges, just like the speakers you will be hearing from today. We're also proud and honored to be collaborating with our partner Jatai for the third time on putting together such a meaningful event. Jatai is one of the initiatives under the Innovation Consortium managed by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, consisting of 99 institutions such as universities, including University of Tokyo, Waseda University, Tokyo Institute of Technology, local governments, and private companies in the metropolitan area. Hereby, I had like to hand over the stage to Kiku Sato-san, who is representing Jatai today, to give us a quick overview on how they're supporting entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
Over to
Yes.
you, Kiku Sato-san.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. This is Kanami Kikusato. I am the manager of Center for Entrepreneurship at Waseda University, and also I am the contact person of GTIE. GTIE is a Greater Tokyo Innovation Ecosystem. And it's a great honor to hold such a great online event that is focusing sustainability, including food tech and climate tech, after the AI and health tech, the past two events. And as Jasleen-san mentioned, GTI's mission is fostering university startups that can change the world. To carry out this mission, we are now operating Gap Fund program that nurtures faculty's ideas to our business incubation. And we are going forward entrepreneurship human resources development by means of providing researchers with faculty development program aiming at enhancing skills of teaching entrepreneurship lectures. And we also provide the incubation field and community where talented people can meet up and network. GTIE is now consists of 99 institutions. One more institution will make us a 100, so huge alliance. And I think this event can enhance the formation and development of Tokyo's innovation ecosystem. And also, I hope these events will be fruitful for all the participants. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Kiko Sato-san. Today, you will hear from startups who are pushing the boundaries of what is possible and creating innovative solutions to tackle the most pressing challenges in food tech and climate tech space. We have an outstanding lineup of speakers who are not only experts in their respective fields, but also visionaries with a passion to make a positive impact on our planet. Now, without further ado, I'm honored to present to you speakers of our first session, Fireside Chat on Food Tech. Anthony, who is the co-founder of Food Market Hub, and Dr. Jay, who is the co-founder of Boomgrow, and our moderator, Will, the president of Real Tech Holdings, who had experience evaluating more than 200 startups for grants and evaluated their environmental impact back at EIT Climate KIC, making him an expert in frontier innovations addressing climate change, and now investing in supporting startups as growth manager and helping companies with all talent manners as team developer. Over to you, Will.
Thank you very much. A very warm welcome to everybody who's listening in today across the world. It's my true pleasure to be the moderator for today's first session. My name is Will. I am president at Real Tech Holdings, as briefly introduced. We are also a venture capital, investing in deep tech startups, trying to solve societal and environmental issues. And we are one of the most active ones here in Japan, but we've been also investing in Southeast Asia. So it's great to see, our panel from dialing from Southeast Asia, and they're very happy to talk to you today. So we've got a difficult task of moderating this and keeping this within 25 minutes. I know every entrepreneur is very passionate and has a lot of things to talk about. I need to be a little bit disciplined with time management, but please feel free to jump in on each other's comments. So just to kick things off, Anthony, I would like to start with you. Could you talk a little bit about what your company does and your passion behind why you started the company?
Nice. I try to keep it in 2 minutes. I have 10 minutes for share always, right? Okay, so Food Market Hub, my name is Anthony. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Food Market Hub. So started Food Market back in the year 2017. So Food Market is a F&B procurement aggregator tool for a lot of restaurants in Southeast Asia. And so what they are used for? So Food Market is used by a lot of restaurants to use a tool to send their daily fresh product, their raw ingredient purchasing through Food Market to any supplier they are dealing with in the market. So we are aggregator and we help them to aggregate the order. So why people are using us, I think mainly is because from restaurant angle, how they can control their wastage, how they can control their food costs. And we integrate with a lot of systems like POS, accounting to help the restaurant able to manage their costs effectively. At the same time, we have another angle where we allow supplier to come in and able to estimate the order from restaurant as well. So this is from the how people are using it, and definitely we have the visions. How can we help the restaurant and supplier to able to predict and forecast the order, which able to have to reduce a lot of wastage during the daily operations.
I know you're also a serial entrepreneur. What made you start this business?
Yes, before Food Market, I have been a few businesses. One of the business I'm dealing with, I'm the restaurant owner. So I used to be ex-restaurant owner. So I runs a cafe, I think, and back in 2015, and able to expand under 3 outlets. And I closed down after that due to my food cost has gone spiral high, and I have no idea how to control that. Then I think I take that mistake and build out Food Market so that how I can help the restaurant to able to control their costing and make their procurements able to meet their expectations, and at the same time to reduce the wastage as well.
So it comes from true experience that you started your current business, and it's a pain you faced yourself. Jay, over to you, maybe asking same question. What inspired you to start up your business, and what are you doing at the moment?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a great pleasure and an honor, and just quite heartwarming to see us all convening together to talk about sustainability, because that goes to the heart of what we do. And my background as well, I've spent 18 years of my life before Boomgrow advising on sustainability, spent times in the hinterlands of palm oil plantations, working with the largest F&B companies, Fortune 500 companies on sustainability disclosure, ESG, before it was even mainstream. So that's sort of the heart of a lot of things that we do and what inspired Boomgrow in the first place. Boomgrow is a tech farming company. We grow a precision farming system. Our patent pending system enables us to grow close to where communities live and shop essentially. And basically with the system that we have, we are able to have a centralized farm operating system that enables us to grow 100% clean greens, pesticide free, 95% less water, less shipping fuel, because we're just so close to the community. So the whole mission is hyperlocal produce, reaching the communities at the heart of freshness. And personally, I'm a mother of 2 children. I'm very passionate about food and nutrition and the impact on not just our health, but the health of the planet and what that means. And we're at the cusp of transformation in terms of agri-tech and food production. So it's an exciting time, an exciting area to be in. Yeah, that's us.
It's really nice to hear your passion behind your business as well. Since you mentioned a little bit about technology, precision farming, could you maybe deep dive in a little bit more on the technologies that you're leveraging to make your product unique?
Yeah, so the technology essentially, so how we grow is obviously natural capital. One of the biggest lessons learned would be it took us so long to land on the right system. So currently we grow, we're a very modular growing system. We grow in repurposed shipping containers. That is how we are so hyperlocal. In any community, in any housing development, we can put our systems, and any busy cities as well. And because we are then very spread out, we do need a centralized system to monitor. So the monitoring and tracking, so we use a lot of perception technology, machine vision to really have that central monitoring capabilities. Even, we are based throughout Malaysia now, farms, but also outside Malaysia. We use a lot of AI to get better. Data tells us how to get better, grow better, because our unit economics is really per square and grid, how much can we grow? So that's really how we understand the technology from an economic perspective. But what the technology has enabled us to do is not just, is essentially disrupt the supply chain. Because with technology, we can meet our promises. We don't have the vagaries of weather. One of the biggest challenges our customers have, our largest customer segment are hotels and restaurants, is supply chain disruption. Also, we can lock in prices because our systems are very so modular. So, and they are then consistent supply, which is also delivered at the height of freshness. So that's really how the technology has enabled us to essentially reach the consumer with predictability, with precision.
Since you talked already a little bit about you're supplying to restaurants, could you maybe excite the audience a little bit about how much you're delivering or to where you're delivering?
Okay, so a lot of our focus currently is Malaysia and Greater Kuala Lumpur. So about 80% hotels, restaurants would come under our sort of on a daily route, we supply. And the exciting thing is the fact that it is also, we harvest at 9 and it's on buffet lines by 11, 12. So that actually transforms the experience of the consumer. And for us, it's not just delivering produce, but transforming that understanding of that consumer about what they are consuming and the impact of that consumption. So that's one with hotels and restaurants, but that's not our only segment, because we do also have a direct consumer model. So you can go on our website, click and order and get that exact same produce that a 5-star hotel in Kuala Lumpur is getting today.
Awesome. I think with the current, pandemic, with the Ukraine war, unfortunately, supply chain has been disrupting, and people are starting to notice that the local produce is more and more important. Food security is obviously a big issue for many countries, including Japan. Anthony, you're approaching this from another angle, but could you also talk a little bit about how your technology is enabling, F&B suppliers? Have things changed with the pandemic over the past few years?
Okay, sure. I think Food Market has been always in B2B game, so not really consumer facing. But past 2 years, we have seen a lot of great adoptions from restaurants to the supply. So one thing they point out really sharply, right? The raw ingredient price has been fluctuate a lot due to the war, due to the global crisis. And, from our angle, we understand that, and actually in Southeast Asia, a lot of people eat out. More than 80% of people will eat out every week. And the consuming, the fresh produce consuming, it's actually happens a lot, or we happen at the restaurant. So from food market angle, we are the tools that aggregate a lot of order from restaurant to the supplier. So food market has the largest data of how restaurant order from different supplier happens daily. So it processes nearly about 1 billion worth of the PO annually. It's a huge amount, right? And so we've been working on some things on the automate the procurement and through the AI as well, where we want to help restaurants able to know how much you really need to order, how many you need to order to fulfill your sales. Because right now, a lot of time they try to guess, they do their best guess to over order so that they make sure they have enough to supply to the customer. But at the same time, it means that you actually create a lot of wastage. We around 7 to 8% happens monthly at the restaurant because people are not able to consume it. And that's how Fujii try to drive to, can we use the machine learning in the future to help restaurants to know, to place what you need to fulfill your sales. And then we're able to tell the supplier as well, what expected will come happens next day, the order. And they can able to harvest what they need to fulfill that day, the sales. And that will help us to achieve more stabilize the supply chain, stabilize the pricing, and able to let them know what to harvest, amount to harvest, quantity to harvest at weekly pace as well.
I mean, sounds you've got already quite a lot of traction with obviously Malaysia, Southeast Asia in general, a growing population, GDP is growing. It sounds like you're, heading towards a very successful trajectory. Could you maybe, on the flip side, talk a little bit about the challenges you're facing? Maybe, since there are quite a lot of people on the call, reach out for any help or collaboration opportunities that you're looking for. Could you talk about those things a little bit as well?
Cool. I think sustainability, it's always part of the mind that but we have to link it back to the economy value, right? And in restaurant, the highest percentage of recycled item, guess what? It's oil. Yeah, almost every restaurant, if they've been plan it well, they actually can recycle their oil pretty well. That doesn't mean that they recycle to get another restaurant to use it, but they will recycle to make it become biodiesel, right? And why there's a high recycle percentage happen at the restaurant for the used oil? Because there's an economy value for them to sell it at half of the purchase new oil price, right? And that's a big thing for restaurants. It turns it to be another income rather than just wasted it in the landfill. And so at the same time, we need to continue to drive the value. Can we help them to recycle the things? So Fujii has partnered with even a few projects on how to help restaurants to sell the things or give out the food that they can't sell it at the end of the business hour. And we also want to help them to able to, able to make sure they just order the right amount and able to stabilize the food cost as well. So driving the stability of supply chain is one of the key things to people able to run it in a sustainable way rather than just a project basis. And data is a key thing for us to understand the market better. And to have the data, we need to start to transform user, educate user. You need to start to use the system right now so that we can collect enough data to help you to run a business, scale your business better than what you know. Right?
Very interesting.
I think that's a reason.
I mean, biodiesel, sustainable aviation fuel, the demand is growing, but there's just simply not enough waste oil, and it's becoming a more and more severe problem. Even governments here in Japan are now pushing very hard to collect the household oil, not only from the restaurants, because there's just not enough of that. Is it maybe a regulatory requirement to collect oil, or how is it in Malaysia? Very curious about that.
There's no rules that say that you must recycle oil. There's a rule say that you cannot dump the oil in the normal wastage. There's a way for you to collect it, but same time, I think there's there's an economy need that we know that we can, actually for the restaurant, that one of our biggest chain is a KFC. So we even make it systematic. How can let them see how can they collect the oil in more effective way, right? And in turn, I think restaurant owner has been interested to participate in this initiative because it's a way to turn that recycle become one of the income as well. So
yeah,
people,
absolutely.
restaurant really make some money through by selling back the oil, right? And we look for more and see how can we do it for others as well. And I think there's a continuous, very interesting. A lot of staff have been put a lot of effort right here to continue fight to help to fight the food wastage.
I mean, do you need any help from organizations, industry leader, governments, etc., for the things that you're trying to achieve now?
Yes, I think one of the important things that how can we create awareness, right? Awareness, not the food wastage, awareness, how can we use a different tool, different startup combination together to achieve this as a big agenda. And food market can't do it alone. And what we have is data. And what we want to have, want to create that, how can we create awareness that so that people participate to use it as a tool and then contribute the data to help government able to plan it well. So one thing that's very interesting, example, let's take cucumber. Cucumber in Malaysia farming, right? I think at every year, no mistake, every year there will be 1 or 2 months. I think minimum 2 months, they will have 3 times the price hike because the supply demand quantity start to become imbalanced. And the impact may due to weather, due to the practice. But if food market has been, we have been using this as a data, we collect it, and we're able to tell the farmer, the Malaysia farming industry, that this is the way how the price been fluctuate in a very constant way. And then the farmer, the grower, able to predict it and make the plan according to what's happened. That will help us to stabilize a lot of things in the future, So I believe there's a big data is a way to how for us to collect, and food is on the path to continue utilize, to make it as an operation tool so that we can pass it to, we can combine, collect the data and make it become big data to help grower, farmer, and to stabilize the supply chain in a better way.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Jay, maybe over to you. We were talking about pricing fluctuation. It's a big thing. Obviously, your product could be solving that issue. But I also wanted to talk to and listening a little bit about what your challenges are, where you need help. Is there anything you call out for action or collaboration?
Okay, so I'd say in terms of challenges, obviously manifold, multifold. Internally first, I think if anyone's interested in food tech, my key message would be, we always talk about the success. Like, today we go to market and we have 185 varieties that we can grow, but we don't talk enough about the failures. It really takes double, triple the time to have success when you're dealing with natural capital, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is control a natural product, essentially. So that kind of R&D time takes a longer time for deep tech companies that are working in food. That is I won't say it's a challenge, but in the early days, we ourselves underestimated the failure rates, I think, so that would be something to factor, because you do need to, as an entrepreneur, know that you need to double your time to see success in the industry. So that's just how the business is. The other thing I would say, it's a very exciting industry because it's at this cusp of transformation, right? In the 8 years I've worked in agri-tech, our hardware cost has gone down 80%. We're so much more accessible. But the other problem as a business, as a startup, is that then there's lots of shiny distractions. Like there's always, because we have a system and we know we have very clear vision of where the system needs to go, but there will always be somebody who will say, oh, okay, maybe you want to do home growing kits, you want to do something else. So as a startup, I think it's fundamental that the founders have clarity of vision, that we're not too taken back by lots of the shiny distractions. That's sort of the internal struggles, not so much those struggles and clarity that we need to have as a business as we continue to grow with the Southeast Asia expansion. Externally, I would say it's standards. We work in an industry that has no global playbook, and even globally, it's only the state of California that has standards for what is pesticide-free hydroponic produce. We don't have that in Southeast Asia. We are working with the Malaysian government, but as we expand, currently we're talking with the Philippines regulatory authorities. So yeah, definitely we need more stakeholders on the table to understand what we're trying to do. How do we build this playbook for essentially vertical farming in the region? These are many, many challenges for us.
Thank you very much. I mean, we are also as Realtech Holdings investing in what they call a plant factory. So it's a fully closed loop indoor farming, a vertical farming. Often, you know, price is an issue, efficiency is an issue. You're talking about that it takes time. You know, plants don't grow, you know, 100 times faster. Unfortunately, it's still natural capital, as you say. Are you facing any challenges on that, trying to bring your price down or looking for R&D collaborations on that end?
For sure. Obviously, one of our things would be that cultivar diversification. How do we grow beyond leafy greens? We've started trialing berries, for example. We do need to partner with universities. That's another thing that we are working with. You know, the curriculum for universities currently in most of Southeast Asia is still very traditional. The agronomists that are coming out are not equipped with data science, for example. So we have to kind of train them from the start. But for us to kickstart a lot of this research, we are looking to partner with research institutions to really up the game in terms of cultivar diversification, because the potential upside is that when you have a system that's extremely efficient in terms of growing, then your product variety can be very wide, and you are insulated from weather vagaries, which is a major aspect that we are solving, which is supply chain.
Thank you very much. So for the audience who are working in that space, maybe that's one thing to reach out as well. Anthony, maybe moving over to a little bit the market side, since this is event held by the Japanese chapter. Could you talk a little bit about your future prospects in obviously Southeast Asia, but maybe also in Japan, what you are excited about, what you're looking here for? Yeah.
Sure. I think in Starro, we always look for the method to expand, right? And Boomgrow has presence in 6 countries at the moment, mainly Southeast Asia, plus two more countries, which is in Hong Kong and Taiwan. Definitely, we see, you know, there's some requests asking to go into Japan, but we still try to understand that to work with the local partner to make us able to position us very well. And I think from food market perspective, it's about aggregator. So we don't go as deep as Dr. J, that how they build and grow. I know it's a lot of hard work, you know, sweating to really understand its plants, how to grow to the max and reach the right yield rate. For us, we are at the supply chain. We try to use data to make us as light as possible, as thin as possible. We work with a lot of players. Integration is a key word. We integrate with a lot tech startup. We integrate with a lot player as well to make everyone can fulfill and have open framework to talk to each other right there. You know, right now in B2B world, a lot, you know, it's disconnect. It's all in their own network discussion, and we want to make it transparent and open to discuss. That's why Food Market didn't come out as a marketplace model, but make it become an aggregator platform to connect both parties together, able to do that deal. And so we have been always in expansion mode, and we always want to help. The first angle we come in always is to help restaurants to be able to do your better cost control so that you achieve profitability and able to scale your business. That's always the first angle we enter. And the second is that how can we help you continue to reduce your your wastage, right? And so we have a lot of tools, analysis report that we even integrate with Google's Data Studio. So to help restaurants, they have time, they can analyze and how to understand how to reduce the cost and comparison. At the same time, we try to connect the dot to the supply side. They say, since we have all the demand data, and we want to bring the supply together as well. And that's the part that we start to connect the dot, where we allow the supplier to opt in, to start to bring in their own customer and make the analysis more helpful for them to understand their whole supply chain. You know, a lot of my supplier has been in issue that don't know what to prepare, so they have to work on demand. Suddenly the request pop up today or the next 2 days, they have to rush and get things done. But all this can be reduced and prevent if you start to use data to make a decision. And this is something that Fuma has continued spend a lot of resources at the R&D side to build tools that can help both partner to able to scale the business better.
Jay, what's your take on the APAC market, the Japanese market? What are your future hopes?
Yeah, obviously, Asia Pacific, Japan, very exciting markets, simply because our whole focus in any market we go is to enable local food production, which really means that we're cutting down on imports. And we supplement any local farming products that are there. So we do create a new option for our customers. So that has always been the model. And so Southeast Asia, for sure, with the growing population and more prosperous population, you know, 2/3 of the global middle class are going to be, by 2030, it's going to be Southeast Asia. So that's a very exciting market for us that's going to demand for better, fresher, quality produce. And we are obviously poised to get into that, that segment very quickly, especially we've started working with hotels and restaurants, 5-star hotels. But I think that quality, what has enabled us to do is really make sure we can carry the quality right down to the home consumer in supermarkets and our direct consumer model. So our multiple channels enable us to reach quite fast as well. Japan, I think, is a unique market. They've had the technology has been, I think, early adopter of the technology and pioneers, Japan, Taiwan. But we see increasing change in the demand by the younger market. So there is still possibility there. We've seen some new brands coming in the market, partnering with supermarkets. For example, in Malaysia, we've partnered with a property developer to put in our farms where the local, so it's really truly hyper local, what the local community wants. So there are certain models that we are keen to adopt in different markets. So I would say there's a time for every sort of industry, and we are at the cusp of that whole transformation. So it's an exciting time.
Yeah, I would totally agree with the shifting consumer behavior in the especially younger generation. Japan has also a very aging population. When it comes to agriculture, it's especially severe. So I think your approach, your product could be very useful for the Japanese market as well. I know we're kind of running out of time. Anthony, Jay, if you maybe just have a 30 seconds final wrap up, if you want to send out any message to the audience, please do so. Maybe Anthony, let's start with you.
Sure. We have been talking about sustainability, but I know a lot of people still try to find the best way to achieve it. But I know there's a lot of effort spent and it's not seeing a great result yet. But I think every baby step that we're doing right now is helping to reach the end goal that we're talking. And there's a lot of effort, not just data, not from Fumaka angle. Data is the way we enter to help the world to be more sustainable. And I can see there's a lot of method that whether how to help recycle, how to grow the food in more sustainable way. There's a lot of effort we play together and achieve it. And I love this topic where I think it's helped us to always make sure when we grow our business and scale to the multi-country, we only need to put the sustainability is part of the mind in the game so that it helps to structure and strategize the whole company towards that direction at the end.
Thank you very much. Jay, over to you.
My key message is everyone needs to eat and eat well, eat better, eat for health, for the health of our community and the planet. So that's the fundamental principle and mission by which we continue to move forward as a business. But at the same time, there's no global playbook for food production and food tech in a way. And that's why it is such an interesting time to be working, because I feel that the pioneers in food tech today, in a few years, we'll see the kind of reimagination of the world that we've needed to do in terms of bringing different stakeholders, not just to look at standards, but to look at, even bringing different people. We've got data scientists, engineers, plant biologists. So all these different minds into building a better world. And we need more players and more people, more young people to start thinking about how to transform and come together in food tech.
Cannot agree more with the both of you. So I would like to thank both Anthony and Jay for being a great panel today. And I'll hand over to Jacelyn, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you, Will, Dr. J, Anthony, for this amazing session. Next on, please join me in welcoming our speakers for the next session, Fireside Chat on Climate Tech. We have Dasha, who is the co-founder and CEO of Effa, and Dr. Sachiko, who is the founder of Ellethermo, and the moderator of this session, Maarten, the managing partner at Natural Ventures, a venture capital firm focused on investments in technologies across the water, energy, food nexus. Over to you, Maarten.
Thank you, Justine, and a pleasure to be here with all of you. So let's dive right into it. We've got two very, very interesting and diverse panelists on the panel today. So looking forward to the discussion. Dasha, you're the CEO of Effa, and you're involved in green disposable products. You're also from Ukraine, and as I understand it, started your business during the war. So please tell us a bit more about what it is that you do.
Yeah, hello everyone, and I'm really glad to see you. And Maarten, thank you for introducing us, and thank you for inviting me. Right now we are part of Effa Accelerator in San Francisco. And yes, I'm truly from Ukraine, and we have started our company in Ukraine during the war. And right now we have relocated to the Bay Area, to the United States. So yeah, what we are doing at Effa, we are fighting plastic pollution by creating eco-friendly, recyclable, and renewable disposable products. And on the other hand, we are making them beautiful and well-designed so people and businesses will buy them. Right now, we're selling our products to hotels and airlines. Also, we're working with corporate offices. We already have such amazing clients as Netflix offices in California, Marriott and Radisson hotels in different countries. And our first product is a paper toothbrush, and our second product is a paper razor. And we're developing many, many more other products. So I've making this company together with my husband, whom I met on Tinder. So one startup made another startup. And yeah, we are fighting through all of the hardest things in our lives, but we are making our dreams come true.
Well, that's fantastic. I didn't know Tinder was used for starting businesses, so that's a new one.
Well, I should charge them.
So Sachiko, you're very much more on the fundamental research side, right? You've developed a technology to use semiconductors to convert heat into energy. Tell us a bit more about the work that you do and how that can be applied to in climate and the environment.
Hi, let me introduce myself. I'm Sachiko Matsushita, the founder and CEO of Ellethermo Limited and Associate Professor of Tokyo Institute of Technology, Japan, supported by GTIE, Kichuk-san. And the business content of the Ellethermo is generating electricity directly from thermal energy without temperature difference. That means our cell can work underground, in the wall, and under roof. So, our goal is to supply the safe, secure, and stable renewable power plant or distributed energy supply around the world. So shall I explain about the SDC, our key technology?
Yeah, please explain. How does it work? What does it do, and where do we apply
It's okay.
it?
So I'm sorry. Now I'm suffering from the hay fever. So a little bit. Wait. So sorry. So our SDC can work because of the redox reaction of electrolyte by thermally excited carriers in semiconductor. And the basic theory is perfectly same with the dye-sensitized solar cell. It's named Gretzel cell. It's a photoelectrochemical solar cell. Shall I continue?
Yeah, I guess the big question for everybody is it's a solar cell that uses heat, and as I understand it, takes low quality heat and turns that into energy. How does it do that, and where can we apply that as regular individuals? I know it's still in the research stage, but where do you see this going moving forward?
Well, actually, regarding the stage, I should say it's really the research stage. So just we make these cells in the lab, and just we start the rental to the companies or to the friends or the academic researchers. And I should say it's just a start, We should scale up. The mechanism, about the mechanism, I believe we had already solved, I guess. So to study about our technology, you should know semiconductor, electrochemistry, and also nonlinear dynamics. I mean the physical chemistry. Because, maybe you're thinking that, wow, your device can work at constant temperature. Hey, neighbor, it should be the perpetual machine, don't you think so? So, but well, exactly, we are using the difference between the equilibrium. So our battery may stop for after several days or several hours at constant temperature. After that, please switch it off. Then the battery moves to the different equilibrium system. In my opinion, the power supply is open system, and the switch off, it's closed system. The equilibrium is perfectly different. So this battery can work again. So you can use our cell in the wall by switching on and off. My English okay?
Yeah, okay, that's clear. So it switches itself on and off, goes from generating power to going in the resting state and then recovering essentially.
Yes, so currently at room temperature, our battery can work. So maybe the application is widespread.
Okay, very. So Dasha, how did you get into climate tech, environmental tech? Was that something that was done on purpose, or how did you get to being in this industry?
Oh, that's funny because it wasn't my intent at the very beginning. You cannot get like surprisingly to the sustainability industry, but I got there surprisingly. That's interesting. As I've said, I've met my husband on Tinder, and he's an industrial designer who has created different products even for Apple. And he always wanted to create something actually useful for the planet. And he always had this like thought that why do people use disposable toothbrushes in hotels? Use them 3 minutes and throw them away afterwards. And they stay like 500 years in the landfill or in the ocean or somewhere else. It is non-recyclable product. So he had an idea of making a paper toothbrush, but he didn't have enough like business knowledge for that, how to do that. And then he met me. He told me about this idea on our first date, and that's how we started. That's how we started creating Effa. We have made our first Effa in a lab with our bare hands, with just having like a paper pulp, like bag of paper pulp, and some like old machines. And we wanted to check whether it will work, whether it is possible to make a paper toothbrush. And then we understood that this is possible, and we started to create this company. And right now I'm really passionate about that. And I love seeing other startups. I love like learning about the technology. And in Ukraine, sustainability is not an issue right now, unfortunately. And even before the war started, it was not the big question. So we became the like shouting voice of recyclability, of sustainability in our country, because we have been invited into a couple of events and people are listening to us as well, and we're bringing something good for our country as well. So that's what we are doing there.
Very interesting. And you make your products out of paper, right? Now, obviously, the question that immediately arises is, okay, you're using a toothbrush, you're exposing that to friction, you're exposing it to water. How do you make sure you don't end up with a mouth full of paper, basically?
Yeah. Well, actually, we are making it out of sugar cane. So first of all, we are not harming forests. And the sugar cane has natural properties of being water resistant until like in the short time. So it is perfect material to make a toothbrush because you use a toothbrush like for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Somebody even uses it less, which is bad for your teeth. But it holds the same. The other thing is the design, how we did create the actual toothbrush. The design is created in that way that it doesn't break when you brush your teeth because it's strong enough. And we have patented both technology and design. And in a second, I will show you a toothbrush. You just have to shout to my husband to bring me the toothbrush and I will show it to you.
Fantastic. Well, just a personal request, can you make sugarcane straws as well? Because paper straws.
Yeah, everybody hates those paper straws. And that's the other, and that's the other thing that we're going to create is a paper straw. And even like our technology lets us to make even solutions for liquid packaging. So the bottles, those plastic bottles that nobody is able to fight right now. Bottles for shampoos, bottles for water, and things like that. So that's the thing that we can do with our technology. We were developing this technology before the war started in Ukraine, but unfortunately, with the war in our country, we had to stop all of the R&D activities and be concentrated on sales to generate revenue for our company. And this is the toothbrush.
Oh, that's like a toothbrush, which is a good thing. Excellent.
Surprisingly.
What kind of opportunities do you see in your industry and in the climate industry in general?
That's a very interesting question because when we just started, we didn't know a lot about that. Right now, I know everything about eco-friendly toothbrushes and personal hygiene because all of our friends are sending us like different eco-friendly toothbrushes and things like that. But the thing in the industry is that most of the products that are like most of the companies that are trying to make eco-friendly personal care products are done for personal use, for home use. And there is this niche of B2B business, which is unoccupied right now. So there are like bamboo toothbrushes, but they are really expensive for hotels. They're like $4, $5. It's too expensive for hotels. So hotels are still using plastic toothbrushes. Airlines are still using plastic toothbrushes. And this like tiny niche of disposable products used by businesses is not occupied right now. But businesses are really looking for these solutions because disposable plastics are being forbidden all over the world, especially for the travel industry, for hospitality industry. It is forbidden already almost all over America, in Asia. Like they're bidding everywhere and they're seeking for alternatives. That's why we have like got into this niche. And at the present moment, we have like really little amount of competitors, but we are on the competitive side in terms of price point because our raw materials are really cheap, which makes our toothbrush really cheap. We're beautiful and we are like getting into all of the demands of the clients that we're working with.
That's very interesting because the question is always everybody wants sustainability, but are we willing to pay for it, right? So if you were to compare your products with the plastic disposable kinds, where are you in terms of ballpark price versus them?
Well, if we are comparing with the plastic toothbrush, we are more expensive because plastic toothbrushes are like 10, 20 cents, depending on the country where you're buying them. And our toothbrushes are like 50 cents, 60 cents. So we're not crazy expensive, but we are more expensive than a plastic toothbrush. But if we're comparing with other eco-friendly alternatives, we're much cheaper than them. So we are like finding this like sweet spot. Yeah, you have to pay more, but we are less than others. So that's that's why we're trying to find.
You're finding the people that are willing to pay a little bit more. Are you looking to get closer even to that price point where it just becomes a no-brainer? And why would you use plastic toothbrush, or is that a pipe dream?
Of course. That's why we have started with the B2B clients because they are able to get us bigger volumes of orders. That's how we can lower our manufacturing costs and develop our supply chain and like organize it in a way that it will lower the cost as well. And we are like getting closer and closer to the more competitive pricing of our products.
Great. Sachiko, you're more on the renewable energy side. What kind of opportunities do you see both for your business and just more general in that field?
Well, to tell the truth, I'm a scientist and I'm not good at the finance. But you mean regarding about the gap between the academic and the industry? Okay. Is it okay?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So you mean regarding the opportunities in Japan in this renewable energy, I think there's a big gap between the academic field and the industry. Of course, the academia is judged by the number of papers, but if you want to make the real innovation in the energy issue, it takes a long time. So that means it's almost impossible to write a lot of papers. So most scientists never choose such a way. That means if you would like to find some new innovations from the academia, it's very difficult to find them from the papers. So but among them, few real scientists are serious about environmental issues. They have great ideas, but they are suffering in academia. It's very difficult to earn the money. So I think this is a real seed of the startup in Japan, and the opportunities for the real scientists, key startups, time for them to talk about the dream as a startup and find the supporters and realize their dreams and create an industry like Professor Michael's Farley. My answer is okay.
Your answer is perfect, and I think it resonates with what I personally experience in my work as well. Academia is not actually incentivized in many cases to develop real-world solutions because, strangely, the more real-world you make research, the less attractive it is for academia. So you get more to a kind of a lab type situation that isn't applicable in the real world, and to then translate that is sometimes difficult. I guess in different places in the world, they're better at spitting out startups than in other, right? The US is notoriously good at it. Europe is notoriously bad at it. How is Japan doing, and how can the government and universities in Japan promote further spin-outs of technology from university research?
Well, actually, there are many offices for the academia and the industry, but sometimes it cannot work. It's very difficult to work because, you know, the academia is judged by the papers, number of papers, you know, and if you like to work for industrial, it is very difficult to write the papers. So it seems even the universities try to make the officers, it's difficult to succeed. So I think the judgment of the academias should be changed to more the industrial field.
Clear, thank you. So Dasha, what are some of the challenges that you faced while trying to get your solution adopted by the market?
Well, our first, that's also a very good question. I can talk about that for hours. The first challenge was when we just started to develop Effa, the COVID happened. And it affected all of the hotels and airlines, and we barely had any clients. Like before the COVID times, we had a couple of LOIs from different clients because like the product is needed and it'd been sold very fast. And then the COVID happened, and we just had our baby, and like we didn't know what to do actually. And we were even like thinking about closing the business and forgetting about this idea. But then we've decided to fight for that one other time, and we've managed to fundraise after that. We've managed to launch mass manufacturing. We've managed to do the sales, and we've managed to grow through 2021. And then on February 24th, the war started in Ukraine, and we've been in Ukraine, and like all of the core team is in Ukraine, or was in Ukraine back that time. And that was not taking to the attention that the war is the worst thing that could ever happen to any human individual. it's also a very bad thing that can happen to any business and or any startup that is growing. And yeah, it was extremely hard to manage everything. And we had a lot of contracts frozen or postponed with the clients that we had before. We under received the investment that we had to receive. Like our last tranche of investment were scheduled for March, and it was canceled because of the war. And we were fighting for our lives, and we wanted to care about the team and to hold the business. And again, as I always say, it was a second funeral of my business, and I've decided to cancel this funeral. And we've decided to work even more than it was before, to fight for our dream and for this tiny little toothbrush that we wanted everyone to have. And we've managed to go through this. We've managed to get to the 500. We've managed to relocate. Like those clients that I've mentioned, Marriott, Radisson, Netflix, even Emirates and Delta Airlines, who are our clients, those sales were done during the war, when we were sitting in the war bunkers under rocket attacks and under everything. So that's the thing that I really want to share with every other startup that I meet. Don't like forget about your dream and fight for it. And it is really possible. It is possible to make your company growing even during the war. And we've relocated to the United States 3 weeks ago. So that's only the first 3 weeks of safety for us through the past year. And we are getting this accelerated growth and work and everything going. And yeah, there will be other challenges, even maybe something even more challenging business-wise. But we're not afraid anymore because we have gone through more horrible things than that. And yeah, we're still going to grow no matter what.
Well, I guess you could certainly say you've had the worst behind you.
Hopefully, because the past couple of years, I'm not surprised with anything anymore.
So tell me a bit about, you mentioned already kind of fundraising. How's that been for you? Is there a lot of appetite for these types of products out there? And how have you experienced that process?
The global recession shows for every startup that right now it's been harder to fundraise than past year. The past year was like blooming and growing for the startups after the pandemics, and right now is the war and global crisis with that. Right now, of course, it's harder. But on the sustainability side, since I've been talking with a couple of VCs and investors and angel investors, they're saying that sustainability will still be developing in terms of investment, and investors still have an appetite for those startups because the amount of products and companies and services on that field is really low still. We see thousands of startups, but they're not according to the demand of the market. So they will be investing. So if you're on the sustainability side, you are not just on the white side of the doing business, but you're on the brighter side for the investments as well. So yeah, of course, you have to spend more time on fundraising, and it's not there is no any right now. It's not like you can fundraise within 2 or 3 months in a Silicon Valley. Right now, you have to spend 6-8 months and rework on your financials and lower your costs and lower your OPEX in order to like get to this fundraising in a normal way and to think more about the business. But on the good side is a good practice for startups to start building a business, not just a fundraising machine that it just goes only through the fundraising. You have to learn how to build a corporation with all of the financials, and that's the good tool for that as well. So let's look at least something good in this global recession. But yeah, for sustainability startups from my side, I have good news that market is growing.
And if you do make it through, you tend to be a healthier startup than when money just gets thrown at you like there's no tomorrow. So Sachiko, tell me a bit about some of the challenges that you've experienced in your research and getting that to something that can be applied in the real world.
You mean the challenges in our company is maybe the difficulty of the technology. As I told you, to be understood my technology, the audience should know about the electrochemistry, semiconductor, and thermodynamics. So it is the high hurdle. So even though our cell is very easy to fabricate, but the theory is very difficult to be understood. So every time we tried to be understood to the audience, to the users about our technology, I think that still we are the stage to be understood.
Interesting. And do you have that same problem with investors when you speak with them?
Well, it depends, because regarding about the investors, fortunately, they are trying to understand. So they are trying to take time to understand our technology. So maybe in most cases, at least in Japan, we can succeed to be understood by the investors.
Clear. Okay. Just focusing in on Japan and the Asia Pacific region, Dasha, what kind of ambitions do you have, and what kind of chances do you see in that part of the world?
Yeah, actually, Japan is one of our targeted markets. That's why I was so excited to take part in this event, at least like first step going into Japanese market, because Japan and Asian regions are really concerned about sustainability. They are one of the, to my experience, they're one of the pushers of sustainability changes all over the world, together with Europe. America is only like further side of that, on the consumerism side. And yeah, like I see the most of the interesting technologies in the consumer market, the one that we are working with most of the time, is getting in Japan. And the other thing that they are doing with the design of the products is an extremely honorable and great thing for sustainable products, sustainable things in consumer market. Because if your product is like most of these sustainable products made in Europe, for example, they are not really beautiful and appealing for the customer. That's why they're not buying those products, and they are expensive, and they are not helping our planet at all, because like they see the bunch of like ugly products there. And Japanese market, then they make those products so beautiful and so appealing that customers are buying them, and the planet is getting better. That's actually the thing that we're trying to do with Effa. And that's why we feel that we are like closer to Asian market and to their approach of making our planet a bit better. And with all this, so that's why we are targeting a lot right now of Japanese and Korean market as well. That for us it's a bit harder being from Ukraine in the United States and going there. Like we're trying to manage this.
Well, it's quite the culture shock indeed. So, Sachiko, what are your plans in the Asian market? What are your plans for scaling your product?
Sure. Well, actually, our goal is to solve the energy problem, and our technology generates electricity from heat above room temperature. So, at the first step, we want our STC to be installed behind the solar panels to improve the overall generation of renewable energy. So therefore, the first thing we need to do is to develop a 30 centimeter square battery and 1 millimeter thick. And can be placed on the back of solar panels. Just our first step.
Okay, well, that sounds very interesting. And how much extra energy can you get from that, percentage-wise?
For the 30 centimeters one, well, actually, we had calculated for the 1.4 square meters is 70 watt for 1 millimeter thick. That means 5 millimeter thick for 1.4 square meter, 150 watt. Normally, the solar panel is sold in the 1.4 square meter and around 200 watt. And ours one 350 watt for 5 millimeter thick.
So you're tripling the capacity of the solar panel, is what you're saying?
I guess so.
That's impressive. Wow. Okay. Dasha, how do you see the future for your company and those types of products going? What's next on the horizon for you?
I really hope for the future of that. And I really hope that this market will develop. And it is developing, as I've said, like investors are investing, startups are burning all the time. Like boarding, sorry, boarding all the time. And yeah, I really hope for this market. For like our mission is to replace all of the plastic disposables with our technologies, like in the industries where it's possible. There are a bunch of disposables used in medical industry, for example, that can be replaced with our materials. And there are a bunch of many other industries that we can tackle with our products. And we're fighting for more. And there are a lot of different startups who are our competitors appearing in that field. But for us personally, we're trying to be as fast as possible to conquer the market. And I'm sure that will develop, even not taking into the account the global recession and the war, but still the questions of sustainability will be on the first place, especially with the war in our country, which affects global climate change a lot. And like we have to think about that, at least how we can do that. And on the other hand, for example, those kind of products can be like those eco-friendly disposables can be also supplied to armies and to like we are supplying our products to refugee camps. So there are like a lot of different things where you can supply your product and like develop this niche of disposables. And with the COVID crisis, it is still here. We have forgotten about the global pandemics. It is still here, and face masks are used like widely, and a lot of disposables, even more disposables, are being used right now. So we have to like work on that. And then when I see a lot of startups in that field, like I'm getting scared personally as a CEO of the company, but on the other hand, I'm getting happy because people are thinking of that and changing that.
Couldn't agree more. Sachiko, what do you see on the horizon in terms of thermal energy provision? What's next for you and for that industry?
Well, I can tell you only the future. Well, actually, here is an energy that is always present in the environmental in which human life. Therefore, if we can develop a heat energy conversion technology that is sufficiently practical, mankind will be able to live safety and security, right? So without fear of resource shortage of environmental problem. So we will make our technology one that supports their life.
Fantastic. Thank you both. This was very interesting. We wish you both all the best and look forward to seeing your innovations help the planet. Over back to you, Jocelyn.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maarten, Dasha, and Dr. Sachiko for this wonderful sharing. And once again, thank you to all the speakers today. Now, we had like to hear from you. Please help respond to the poll that is now being launched on your screen. Lastly, I had like to give a special thank to our partner, Jatai, for driving this with us. If you're looking to further talk to any of our speakers today for any sort of collaboration, please feel free to reach out to the presenting startup today. You can find their contact info on the event page QR code on the screen. And that's all from me today. Thank you for spending your day with us. We look forward to seeing you at our future events. And thank you. Bye-bye. Take care. Thanks, everyone.